We are back. My name is Robert, and this is my vlog on my journey to learning C# programming. This is my second video. In the first video, I'm sorry, it's my third video. In the first video, small introduction. Second video, we started this real quick challenge, but I was extremely tired, so I didn't get far through it. Where we basically just had to write a program that will iterate through each element of a student's array and insert them into a hash table. Now, the student's array isn't just a regular array called students, it's actually an object student. So this is an array of these student objects, and we're going to cycle through them and insert them into a hash table, and then double check and see if a student of that ID already exists. Then we will not allow it to be put in the hash table and just have it display an error instead. I realize there are a lot of other things you could do with that. However, I'm new. At least I haven't done C# in over 10 years, and this is what the instructor is requiring for right now, so I haven't really refreshed up on other things that can be done with that at this point. And then he gives us a hint to use the method.contains to check and see if a student with the same ID already exists. So that is one way we'll be able to do it. Prior to doing this, before I start actually writing code, I always like to start by just reiterating some variables and initializing variables and such, just so I can keep it fresh in my mind every day. I learned well by the rote method. The ABCs of code is always be coding. So I learn the same way by the rote method of repetition, doing the same thing over and over again. So that's what I'll be doing here. I'm just going to create a quick class for this project that is just going to be a dummy class that I can just dump some of that stupid stuff into quick. So we'll call this the dummy class. All right, so in our dummy class, I'll just practice. We'll say integer I set to 1. There's an integer. How about float? My float, we'll set that to 4.5f, which is required for C#. You have to put the f at the end. And let's say strings happen a lot. String my name, set to Robert, and we'll do an array of strings. My array names. And I'll set that to new string array, and we will initialize that, which for now it's 2 variables, whatever. Two arrays inside there. 2 strings inside the array. Let's separate that just so we can see a difference here. So string, we will initialize my array. Why is that not doing anything? My array names. Oh, gotta love hitting the wrong button. I'll do that in a minute. Let's do set to new integer array. Oh, come on. I hate this keyboard for typing. And we'll just set that now. What is this? Integers. So we'll just do, let's see, 1, 2, 3. We'll just make it 3 long. So that's already assigned. And let's see. What else did we do? Hash tables. So that's not going to show up because I need to put that up here. Collections. There we go. My table will be set to new hash table. Alright, so that creates my hash table. What else do we know? We did multi-dimensional arrays, so my multi-array set to new integer, and this will initialize later. Why is that? Oh, because we need to make it, we'll just say 1 row and 2 columns. And then we can I think it's because I'm doing these in public. That's probably why. No. I'm not sure why it's not coming up in there. I'll have to look into that. I'm not sure why I'm not able to call those. Yes. I know you don't want to give it to me, but why? Is it out of the scope? Why does not exist in the current context? Maybe. Okay, well, I'm having a brain fart, so I'm going to look this up. Let's see. I wonder. you can't even do it that way. Why would I not be able to do that in the class? Well, this is really going to bother me now. It's all inside the dummy class. Let's see. Let's see if I can do it in here. Ah! Okay, so that's what it is. I'm declaring all these in the main class, but that's odd. For some reason, you can't assign them values unless you're assigning them values when you instantiate these variables in the class itself. You have to do it inside a method of this class. Huh. It's really odd. I'm not sure why that is. I'll have to do some research on that because I can't remember, but that's fine. That just means that I'll do them all in here just so I can remember. Array names. We'll do 0 to new. Let's see, that was a string, I think. Okay. All right. And again, not doing anything with this program right now. Every day that I code, I first start out by just doing the rote method of instantiating variables and such, just so I can remember how it's done and try to bake it into my memory. That is how I learn. And that's actually not going to work because that's only too long. So we'll take that one out. We'll do the same thing with the numbers array. That is 3 long. Oh, that one's already actually been set, so I don't have to worry about that. Let's see, the multi-array. We could do multi-array. Set to new. What is that, an integer? Yeah, integer array. These ones always confuse me, I think. I don't use them that often, so there we go. Okay, so when I do these, I actually like to do them like blocks of code, because it helps me remember what's what. So this is a 1 row, 2 columns. So this is our 1 row. And then inside here we have our 2 columns, right? So there, and 1 and 2. That's not supposed to be that. There we go. So that instantiates the array, populates it with 0, 0, and then 0, 1. Okay, what else we got here? Hey, bud, what's up?
What you doing?
I am doing my daily practice stuff for my coding. Yep, yeah. It's my vlog, so I could go back and try to remember my train of thought when I'm doing things, you know? See how it changes over time. And then the hash table should be easy. That's my table. Hash tables have an add function. And what is it? A hash table of nothing. So I could just kind of add whatever I want, I guess. I need a key and a value. Okay, so let's just add. We'll add something from the my numbers array. And the key will be 0. And the value will be the my numbers array. And that will populate into my hash table up here. Okay, so I think I got that down for now. Let's see. That's good. So I don't really need that. So, okay, so we'll go back. And again, this is where we left off the other day. I made a hash table. I made the students array, the array of student objects, and passed all this information into each individual object of student. And then these are going to all be put in the hash table, which should be fairly easy, I think. And here, this is my class that I created for the student for this project, which has an empty constructor with the ID, which is an integer, string, which is a name, and then an integer, which grade. And then these are the get sets for setting those 3 properties. So go back to the program here. We're in static void main. And in the main portion of the program, iterate through each element of the student's array. So for that, we're going to need the for each. And for each variable item in the, I mean, that works just fine. Collection, so this be students array. We have each student there. What we want to do is insert them into the hash table. So we'll do student table dot add students array. Oh, we'll add item. Students array. I think I could just use item. Oh, no, duh. Because it needs the key and then it needs the value. So it's going to be item dot key. Students array dot key. There's no key. Okay, so now it's going to be students array. But I need to do, I add item is the key? No, can't do that. That I can do, but I don't want to do that. It has to be item, but you can't explicitly convert item. So what we can do is create a temporary student object to put the information into. Excuse me. Let's see, create a temporary student object, put the information to, that will be set to cast student array. This is a student object. We want to pass just item, actually. Yeah, that's it. Okay. So then in here, now, oops, I hate that button. So now we can just send in temp student dot ID and then temp students array. That should populate my hash table, I believe. Should work just fine. Yeah, okay, so compiler likes it at least. That's a plus. So we've added everything in the hash table. Now it has 5 objects of student from the students array. And then we want to say if a student with the same RID already exists, skip it and display the following area. Okay, so we put it in there, and then we say if item oh, duh. It's not the array we want to do it in. We want to do it in the table. Oh, okay, good. Yeah, I was working. Just took a while for the compiler to figure it out. Just wanted to make sure there. So if the table contains actually, if it does not contain that student ID, then we're going to add that student ID. That's what we want to do. That'll be better than doing it the opposite way. Else, we will. Sorry, a student with the same name ID already exists. Already exists. Or with the same ID already exists anyway. Okay, so on these I can make Frank also number 2. So when it puts them all in, one of them should not be in there. Yep, see, okay, so only one of them did not show up, and that was likely Frank, because he used the second one in there with the same ID. And that is actually the entire project that they wanted us to do for just hash table practice. So that's all I need to do for that. Now the question is, do I want to push it further and actually read it out and see what's going on? I guess that would be kind of fun to figure out, so I'll do that now myself and see if I can't figure it out myself. So what I want to do now is actually read what's in this hash table, which is hard to do because it is full of objects, which are full of properties. And I want to display all that on a console string, and that cannot be done very easily with just a regular for each or a for loop. I've tried it. All it will actually do is kind of display the object itself, but not the contents of the object. So let's try it again after we populate that. For each, what we need to do is make it, oops, make it a dictionary. Dictionary entry, excuse me. So for each dictionary entry inside this hash table, student table, for each dictionary entry inside student table, again, we need to you know what? Will that allow me to put it in and then read each ID? It might. So let's try this again. We'll force it into a temporary student object. Set to cast it Can't cast it to that. Let's see what it prints. Really what we want. So we want entry dot. Yeah, see, I don't have it in here. Let's see what the key is anyway. Make sure they're all in there. Nope. Oh, duh. Let's take these out for now. Five, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, okay, so it did take out the 1, the extra 2 ID. So we can print entry.key, but the dictionary does not have access to anything other than the key. So if I take entry dot maybe gotta turn it into a student object. It has to be a student object. Set to entry value maybe. Gotta cast it. Ah, okay. Now maybe. Ha! There it is. Eureka. So now I should be able to print out what is inside the values or the properties for each student object in the hash table right here that I've just added here. So now we can see if it's John or if it's Frank who has disappeared from the hash table because they have the same key, and this disallows that. And a boo-boo. Why did boo-boo? Because I didn't finish. So we'll do ID, and we'll do temp student dot name and temp student dot grade. And just so for readability purposes, we'll put a little bit of space. You know what? Let's just not be lazy, and we'll just say and their grade is son of a gun. Can't cast student. To type student. value and the key. That's gotta be. Maybe it just has to be student table. No, because that doesn't have value. That will give the specific object from the hash table, casted to student, stored here. But that won't give me. Wait, what was that? No reference. For which one? All of them have. Temp student was null. How could it be null if it was set? It will set it. Okay, let's think about this here for a second. We are taking every object in the student array and we are putting it into temp student. We're checking to see if that ID has already been used and stored in the hash table. If it has, it error codes. And goes to the next iteration. If it hasn't, it gets added to the table. Okay. And then I check the table, every object in the table. And I store it. Damn it. Could I do entry itself? No. It's the only thing I can think of. So those are there. How many students are there? Let's write the IDs. See how many there are. And that's where I have an issue because one of these I'm instantiating does not have an ID. How is that possible? How is that possible? There's got to be something here. Something's going on here. When it comes here, it doesn't put something in that portion. Does it? How could it be empty? How could it be empty? Puts it in student table. Ah, is that what I did? Is that what I did? Is that what I did? Oh my gosh. Oh. I see the problem. It still sets it. It still puts it in there. It puts it in there no matter what. This location is the problem. Son of a gun. Because it stores it in there. Okay, so how I can fix this is I can leave that there, and then in here I can change it to I'm an idiot. Supposed to be contains key. Otherwise, I'm looking for a specific string. I can probably get rid of that. Hey, what's up, Skigs? This is not WoW. But 9.1 is coming around the corner shortly, so there's that. I actually didn't see that chat pop up on my screen very well, so I'm going to fix that somehow. I'll do that after I'm done, so I don't get sidetracked here. I'm almost done. Alright, so take the key. So what are we doing now? So we store it in the temp student object. each object inside the array. That's fine. Then we say if the student table does not contain this key, temp student ID, then we store student table.add temp student ID and the value from temp student, I think, which is the object it's coming from, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, object key, object value. I don't know if I have to put dot value here or not. And then we're just going to write the ID to the console. 3, 5. It's still doing it. Oh no, it's not. It's skipping that now. So it's not actually putting it in, I think. Now, that's putting that there. Can I check? Oh my gosh, I'm gonna lose my mind. It's not set to an instance of the object. What was not set? What was not set?
Hey,
What's up?
nothing. Just wanted to know, how many more lessons do you have, and how long do you think it's gonna take?
I don't know. I have, well, I mean, I'm going to be doing it for a long time, but I have a few lessons left in this course. I think like 8 more chapters. Why?
I was just wondering.
Okay. All right, well, I'm going to take a quick break while I think this through. So we can't convert that into an entry. Type student. So can we say just curious. Can we write that? What is that? Oh. Yes, I know. Okay, so I am only getting 4 in there. I got that. And they are 4 objects. Now I want to look and see if I can take... Entry does not have access to the class because it is a dictionary. So instead, could I say for each student table? No, because you can't. That variable is specific. So entry has to be assigned to an object. I'll have to look it up. I have been banging my head against the wall for a while. I've tried things. I know how to do this. I just can't think of it off the top of my head. And it can't be hard. It can't be hard. Okay. Okay, okay, so that's working. That's working. Why wasn't it working before? It's exactly what I did. Is that not what I did? It's exactly what I did. What in the world is going on here? That is exactly how I had it set up, and it wasn't working. Now I'm doing it individually, it's working. Oh, I'm going to have to go back and look at this video and see what it was I was doing that's different. Intuitively, that's what I thought you were supposed to do. I could have sworn that's what I was doing. What was I doing wrong? What in the world was I doing wrong? Okay, so let's go back here. Student. Temp student is set to, now we need to cast it to a student object. Entry.value. Okay. Now we can console.writeLine. We say student 1 is the person's name and their grade is and temp student.id, temp student.name, temp student.grade. And there we go again. This is where it gets screwy. I know it's something stupid. It's got to be something stupid I'm doing. ID, name, and grade. Okay, what? What? It'll let me do them individually, but if I try to do them all at once, it gives me a null reference error. How is that a thing? What the hell is happening to my code? What is happening? I can do it individually. I can do it individually. Ah! Dang it! Why am I so dumb? I hate you. I hate you. Attention to detail. Ah! Okay. Student 5 is Ronar and their grade is 90. 56. Oh, duh. Just doing that. Left this in there. Take that out. Ooh, okay. Grade is 90, 3 is Betty, grade is 56. Let's make sure these are all correct. Betty is 56. 2 is John, he's 75. 1 is Robert. John, Betty, and then Ronarn. Alright, everything looks good. Well, that took a million times longer than I thought it would, but for some reason I have to go back and look at the video. I don't know what was happening down here. I was populating the object properly, but for some reason down here it was getting messed up. But didn't really learn that, so had to kind of work through it and figure it out. I don't like to search the internet for the answers unless I really, 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 really have to, because it keeps my brain from getting lazy and helps me think through the problems. So good, everything was working good. So let's make sure we did everything the instructor asked. Make a program that will iterate through each element of the student's array and put them in a hash table. We did that. If a student with the same ID exists in the hash table, skip it and display an error. So we had actually 5 values in the array, but only 4 populate in the hash table because number 2 John and number 2 Frank both have the same key identifier. And as we can see here, John was put in and Frank was removed because he was further down the list. So we did that, and then it just says use the contains key to double check if a key already exists. Now, here's a question. All that does is keep it from getting entered if there is another key that is the same. What happens if we still want to enter it and we just want to change the key number, since there can't be duplicates? We would catch it in the else statement there. But how do we do that? And then we would say I mean, it's easy to do. I could technically just write a while loop and add a +1 to that key number until, or to the ID number, until it found one that wasn't used, but then I would have to loop through the statement a bunch of times. But that's how my mind goes. My mind would immediately go to, okay, well, let's just do a while contains key number 2, or while student table dot contains key. I want to key plus plus, basically just increase the key counter and set it. But that doesn't seem like the easiest way. I wonder if there is a function for it. Is there a function for it? Is there a function for it? We know what that does. No. Sync root, where's that? Nope, so it doesn't look like there's a function that would do that on its own that's already been written for that class. So, I guess for now I'll just do my own way of doing it, which would be so I'll say while so we'll say while student table dot contains key temp student dot id we will take temp student dot id set to temp student dot id plus 1. I can't do that. That's not really something that can happen. It can, because it's an integer. Could I temp unit ID? Oops. Come on, stupid hands. Did I plus plus? What? You can plus plus? Huh. So if it contains the same key, then I'm going to change the ID, and then it's going to break out of the while loop. I'm going to add the table, student table dot add temp student dot ID and temp student. Shabam? Uh-oh, I feel a crash coming on. Infinite while, anybody? Yeah, okay, so let's see. While so if it does not contain a key, it's going to do its thing. But if it does contain a key, if the key is already in there, then we're going to say student table dot contains key. Then we're going to take that temp student dot ID And we're going to set it. Temp student ID plus plus. Then we're going to check. Is it an infinite while loop? It absolutely is. There's something wrong with this here. So while that key is in there, I think there's nothing wrong with my conditional statement because that makes sense. I think it has something to do with this. So what if I just temp student? So let me just see. Let me just say it's set to 10. Now, there's no reason to have a gassy. Okay, there's no reason to have a get set method if I could just set it anyway in the program, but that's for a different, further down the road issue, I think, for me to figure out. Okay, so you can't plus the ID, right? So, but you can say it's, but you can get, you could get all the values. Student table dot keys. Like it's a collection of the keys that you can store in an array, probably. Right? So we'll say integer array. Key array. Set to new integer array. It's easy for me to just pick a random number, but I can't pick a random number. It has to be something consistent, something needed. So I have to be able to get the key entry. Plus equal 1. Can I say ID plus equal ID? That will give me double itself. That will not. It gave me double itself. But if I change it to 1, it'll take a while, because that'll be 2. Or it'll make it 10. Yeah, see, I don't want it to be 10. Can I get student table? Is there a dot length? No. Student table dot count? Yes. There's a count. Okay, so we'll say student table dot count. Integer count set to student table dot count is set to count plus plus. So now that should show 6. Frank is 5. Oh, yeah, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because there are 5. Because there were 4 when he was removed. And so he becomes 5. Sweet. That works perfect. It's exactly what I wanted it to do. And that only took me a million times longer than it would take a normal person, I'm sure. But I was able to work through it. At least. I guess that's the most important thing. And I'll just have to add this into my daily practice stuff. Working on these dictionary entries. That while loop worked really well. All right. I think that's good enough. All right. Now I actually messed up something on my get, so care. Where is my local file? Well, anyhow, I'm going to push this to GitHub so I can mess with it some more every day. If you did watch this, thank you for watching. If you have some pointers, much appreciate it. Trying to teach myself to code again. It's been a long time. Before I have certifications for C++ and C Sharp from 10, 11 years ago, but I never used it after I left college, so I don't really remember much of any of it. So I'm trying to reteach myself so I can one day leave.